Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be about the importance of breathing and how it plays a vital role in the structure and stability of the upper body. The first thing we'll cover is ribcage capacity and how we should be using our lungs on a day-to-day basis. 2, we will cover how that is going to assist you to correctly position your shoulder girdle, that's your collarbone and your shoulder blade. And then thirdly, the important one, the big one that everyone wants is how to stabilize the shoulders to reduce the tension through the neck and all neck pain, or the majority of neck pain, and how to start overusing the lats, or not overusing, but actively using the lats to prop the shoulders up on a day-to-day basis. So quite a lot to cover, so let's get into it. So when we think about the rib cage itself, we have to think of it like a balloon within a structure. So if we just simplify it to a balloon, if you blow that balloon up and you start with just a normal balloon, you blow into it, it inflates to a certain size. If you let all of the air out of that, the balloon shrivels and turns into nothing. What we have to think about with how we use the lungs is we want to be using the upper portions of our lung capacity. So if we take it on a spectrum, you can quite literally think that 0% air capacity is here, 100% air capacity is here, and at the minute, you're probably using somewhere between, I don't know, to give it a rough figure with no statistics behind it, somewhere between 20 to 50% of that lung capacity. What we want to do is shift that up that slider, and we want to start using 50-60% to, well, ideally 90 to 100% of our lung capacity. When we start doing that, that balloon, i.e. our rib cage, not our rib cage, our lungs, start to hold a bigger structure. The muscles within the rib cage, which are your intercostals, so they're the muscles that are in between the rib cage, start to expand and gain this elastic property that we try and work on a day-to-day basis in our sessions. Therefore, you're literally, over time, you build the ability to hold a much bigger structure through the rib cage. So to simplify that, the thing that I want you to take away from is when you inhale, you can practice this on its own, or you can do it on a day-to-day. You can snack through this movement. Taking big inhales, and then when you exhale, not letting the body go and deflate to the floor. What we want to think about to work on it is taking that big breath in, taking a bit more, and then let out half of it. Then what we find is we're holding a structure that's now propped up. I've created distance from my pelvis to my rib cage, and then that's where I'm now breathing. So when I breathe in again, I take that upper breath, and I let half of it out. So I'm doing it quite strict, but that's how I would practice it, or that's how I practice it if I'm trying to work on expanding my rib cage and my ability to breathe and use the muscles that are within my rib cage to help build that better structure and foundations for my shoulder to sit on. Now that we've upgraded the size and structure of the rib cage, it's time to fix the shoulder blades, which is one of our biggest things. It's in the fundamentals that we work on in the first couple of weeks when you come into the studio. This takes a while because you can see you have to have the rib cage to first get the shoulder blade. So the shoulder blade, what you'll notice is on the smaller capacity rib cage is your body will start to wing, which is where the pointy bits at the bottom of the shoulder blades start sticking in. And they turn in because they're looking for a position to almost fix and lock into. They're looking for stability. What we've just learned is we're going to give them stability. So you inflate the rib cage. Then what we do is using our breath is we breathe and we start opening out the space in between the shoulder blades. Therefore, the muscles in between the spine and the shoulder blades function at a higher level. They start gaining a nice elastic property. We then start trying to work the lats into the side of the body because they work to almost pull the shoulder blade up and round and stabilize it. So they open out and they pin the shoulder blade slightly higher. And when we inhale and exhale, we don't have this drop through the shoulders, and we don't have this winging through the shoulder blades as well. So first, expand the rib cage. Second, we elevate the shoulders and we bring the shoulders into protraction, which is forward. So from the side, I would elevate the shoulders and I would bring them slightly forward. Don't worry if you feel rounded at the minute. The lung capacity, the step one, is where you can then start filling this space out in front of you by breathing in towards that. So then when we're in this position, we go shoulders up, shoulders forward. Now you take that breath into the front. And what you see there is a much more better structure, a much solid structure with greater stability through it. So you noticed I put my shoulders forward and then I expanded my rib cage and took that breath forward. So now I'm in this structure. This is the structure that ultimately we want to be trying to hold on a day-to-day basis, because that is ultimately how you're going to get out of pain, by lifting the body and working on that level of decompression through the spine. So hopefully that makes a bit of sense with where we want the shoulder blades to sit. Now we're going to get on to number 3, which is the big one. So here's the thing. How do we take the tension that is in the neck and in the shoulders when we say, this and down the sides of the neck? When we have pain in this area, including migraines, how do we get rid of that tension, and then where do we have to reposition that tension? Because you don't get rid of tension without redistributing it somewhere in the body. We distribute it through the lats. So I'm going to take my top off and I'm going to show you how we're going to work through this breathing position. So as soon as I think of having excessive length through the neck, this is where a lot of people are sat in posture. So imagine this position is almost like you're carrying 2 big heavy shopping bags and you're being pulled down into depression. What that does from the side over time is it pulls my posture down, but also in my shoulder blades, it pulls my shoulder blades and creates that winging effect that we want to try and get rid of. Now, when I start using the lats, so I turn into here. When I start using the lats, so the muscles running down the back, the big muscles on the body, instead of the traps, I take my shoulders, I inflate my rib cage, and I feel like I'm working that 4D structure. So I'm not just breathing into here, which would look like this, which I'm physically shifting my rib cage. Most people would think, oh, okay, that looks quite good. But if I lift my arms, you can quite clearly see that I've hyperextended through my back. Now I'm causing excessive tension through here. But however, if I bring my shoulders forward and I sit in a slightly longer position, my shoulder blades, instead of sitting like this, I pull my shoulders forward and I lift. Now you can see that point has come out from the shoulders. Then when I take that breath, I inflate laterally into the body. So I inflate out to the sides as well as forward and backwards at equal tension. If I just breathe into the front of the chest, ultimately the body's going to try and pull that way. I want you to work on laterally breathing, so breathing into the sides of the body to help start to build that width. Now when I exhale, I'm not going to go and drop into that. I'm going to take a big inhale. And when I exhale, inhale again. Exhale. So day to day, I'm going to learn how to create almost too much tension, which is what it will feel like. But it's not too much tension, it's just you're not used to having tension there in the first place. Then eventually you can hold that bigger structure. So I'll show you through the back in a quick diagram and a quick explanation of what that looks like. When you look at this video, you'll start to see how my shoulder blades start from pointing in, my shoulders are depressed, they're pulling down, excessive length and tension through the neck, and not very much going on in the body. Then when I take this nice big breath, I expand my rib cage in a 4-dimensional structure, but really focus on the lateral breath. I focus on keeping the neck nice and soft, and I focus on slightly elevating the shoulders, okay? But when I'm taking that breath, I'm taking that breath from underneath my shoulders and almost pushing the shoulders up. If you do this, you know when you've done it too much because you'll physically scrunch and you'll hunch the shoulders up. you'll shrug the shoulders is the word I'm looking for. We don't want to shrug the shoulders up, and that's not to say that your shoulders shouldn't have a tiny bit of shrug, because the trap is still a muscle, so it still has to have a function of structure. It just can't do all the work. It has to be propped up by the bigger muscle, which is the lats. Then you're going to assist the lats by working those traps. So you might have to go back through that video and break into sections the importance of step 1, learning how to expand the rib cage. Step 2, learning how to position the shoulder girdle better by elevating the shoulders and protracting the shoulders forward slightly. And then you work on building that entire structure by taking the tension out of the neck and trying to redistribute through the lats. That is not a quick fix. That's why this video is not intended to be a workout or a follow along. It is concepts that I want you to practice. If you practice these, I promise you that you will see results within the next month to 2 months with how you hold yourself, your tension around your neck and shoulders, your ability to stabilize the scapula. So any of my clients watching this, when you come into the gym, 2 months time, I guarantee you will be able to hold a better structure through the body. So when we pull a cable, the shoulder blade and the rib cage know what to do and know how to assist. When we push a cable, pull a dumbbell, push a dumbbell, swing a mace, any of the movements that we go through, what we have just discussed is the concept and the foundation of structure around the exercises that we want to be able to perform to feel and look more athletic as well. So a lot to digest, but we've got a lifetime to work on it. So the sooner you get onto it, the sooner you'll start seeing results. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the comment box below. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not on the channel already. Like the video and turn on the notifications so you can get a notification for when my next videos come out. Any questions, guys, you know where to find me, and I'll speak to you real soon.